to this right quick.
Yeah.
So do you think with all of that, all of those experience and all of that, and also back home, the things that we deal with, do you feel like therapy is necessary and more?
Yes.
And okay, you think the
I
same
think
thing?
so.
Yes.
You
Yes.
understand? Me, I'm on the opposite side. But I'm gonna let you guys go in first. Or should I go? Y'all want
No,
me
you
to
go first. I want to
Okay.
hear what you said.
This is the reason why I say it's not necessary, right? Like my teacher says something, right? It's not in every case or whatever. He say, well, if you don't know, it doesn't hurt, right?
Right.
Okay, so my reasoning for that is, all right, like, you just said that people back home, before you came, you felt at peace, right? Because those kids, they live free, right? They're caring, they're loving, they show all of these, like, affection, they were touching you, they were damn near, like, praising you, So, what I'm saying is, like, if you bring therapy back home, and you tell these people that, oh, look, even though you're smiling, you're jumping around, you're happy with nothing, you shouldn't be okay with that. Something is wrong. You're going through trauma. So I want you to sit back and look at your environment and say, this is not okay. And say that, okay, I need therapy for my experience where they're not like, but based on their situation, they're not going through no trauma because you just said that you felt at peace before you left. You mentioned that they live free. Right, they're happy with nothing. So if it's not like if something is not broken,
Don't fix it.
Yeah. So why would you bring therapy to let people know, like make people think that something is wrong with them, and then subconsciously they start thinking, "Oh, something is wrong with me. This is not right." So that's the reason.
I agree with you. The reason why I say that because it's not in our culture. So if you bring it probably derail us from our culture and our
things that we
religion.
rely on, because
Right.
religion is the
I agree with that.
main thing that we rely on,
Mhm.
whatever, and get it.
Hold on.
And culture.
So from what I'm hearing, when you're saying like, okay, don't break nothing that's not, or don't
If it's
like
broken, it
fixing
don't need to be
something.
fixed.
Not broken, not fixed.
If it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
So then you're essentially saying that, like, say like someone who thinks they're in bliss, if they're having to go through a therapy session and then they somehow then unveil like something that's actually traumatic to them that they may not have consciously realized was impacting them today because they're not focusing on it, then their focus will shift on like magnifying like, okay, here's the issue that's wrong. Is that
Because I'm saying, like, yes,
assuming there's an issue, right? That's
like,
not even assuming.
our issue is not necessarily our culture play a part of it,
Big part.
but our problem is like we're not advanced, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have all the technology, we don't have like the
Yeah.
education, all that in order for us to like compete with other countries or whatever, right? That's the main issue. Does culture and religion have something to do with it? Yes, right, but that can be fixed without involving therapy. That can be how to better yourself, how to bring about more education, how to bring more information, how to build the society to a point where like, yo, this is your religion, this is your culture, but you need to apply yourself, put action behind, your thoughts, and then apply yourself and manifest your reality into, creating a system that's competing with the modern or the Western world or whatever. So I don't think therapy have anything. Bringing therapy is just gonna take the core base and the foundation of what they live on and what they strive, like what help them strive, which is like their religion and culture, to change their mind or change the frame to have them look at life in a different perspective where like they can advance the community and the education system. That's completely different from like bringing therapy. That's why I feel like it's not important.
Okay, I want to hear what she has to say about this.
So I want to say trigger warning first before I say what I'm gonna say, right?
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning to everyone. And I say that because I'm gonna talk about the rape culture, right? Yeah. You have a lot of women in different parts of Africa. We're not gonna just say Guinea that are sexually assaulted. By different people. Sometimes
that's a fact.
It be church members. Sometimes it's mosque
Family
members, uncles, whoever, aunts. Sometimes, you have these things that happen, and some of these women harbor it for eternity, for their whole life, and then it moves on and it happens to their kid, and they also cover that up. And then it happens to the next generation, and they also cover it up. And then next thing we're calling is a generational curse.
Yeah.
when that's just that trauma happened,
That's a big part.
and we could have stopped it right there.
Could have been fixed,
with
yeah.
therapy.
That's
We
a
could have
fact.
talked about it. We could have told you that you deserve better.
Yeah.
We could have told you that that should have never happened to you. You were a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We could have told you were not the adult in power. So many things. And we could have also told you your parents were wrong for not supporting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But we don't have that because there is no therapy, and a lot of the times it is not handled the way it's supposed to be handled. Right? So when I say therapy is needed, there's a lot of things in our culture, yes, we may not need it for, like, let's say happiness or whatever the case is, right? But because we do have trauma that still exists, therapy is needed. It's needed and it's necessary because there's people that's going through stuff that they cannot speak about.
Because anything like as big as this topic is, like it will have a pros and cons. Like
For sure.
no matter how you put it, like it could go both ways. Like just like
Yeah.
how you say I agree with that, and what Aisha say I also agree with that. Because there's a lot of women, there's a lot in Africa that's going through these like type of stuff where like it is told to them to like you can't speak about it. So imagine if there were therapy, they would be able to open up with these stuff and they can stop a lot of these like, you know, assaults.
And I think even in terms of like just confidence in other things, right? Like we've talked about the whole selfish versus selfless. If you haven't listened to it, tune into episode 2.
Yep.
Where, you know, you have to kind of like gain that confidence to stand on your own, to shake, you know, any kind of like generational weight or, you know, people's weight and expectation off of you in order to strive. And even in your experience that you mentioned, like with having to deal with going to school for 2 years, that every single day was like you didn't like it, you were uncomfortable, it made you sick, like, you know, and then, you know, this fear of like this inevitable future of doing that for the rest of your life, you know, causing you stress. So like I feel like even being able to have the confidence, right? Like when I made a career, when I was, you know, about to make a career change, it was something that I was very afraid of and I was nervous about. And like, I knew that I wanted like a certain type of like work-life balance and things like that. But I felt like, you know, for a long time, I felt like that's where I needed to be. And that was the future for me. And so when I had that change of like thought, it no longer aligned to like what I had been identifying myself as, like that's my future. So it was it was like, you know, uncertain times. And I think like had it not been because of like gaining confidence and understanding that like, you know, at the end of the day, like what you feel like is enough for you, it's valid for you, right? And you don't have to say anything about that, is what allowed me and gave me the push and the confidence to go elsewhere. So I think growing up there, even to outside of that, like even just confidence of to be successful, right? Like, hey, it's not your fault that when you get paid, you want to take money and save it. And you know, you can give a little bit to people so long as it doesn't like suffocate you every single time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I have
That's
a question
needed.
for you. Like, although like you had a lot of experience, you learned a lot of stuff there, right? You're grateful for this stuff. But like, were there a subconscious like in your mind that, you know, when you made a switch that said that like maybe I should have made that switch like earlier, like maybe I should have made a year ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think once I made it, it was like, and once I was on the other side, it was like, oh,
maybe this should have been like way earlier than
that was easy,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why
that was crazy.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree.
You
right?
know?
Yeah.
So like, you know, there's always like nuance to these, like, you know, type of topics.
Granted, like the experience that I gained throughout all of those years is what I think really allowed me to be where I am right now, and it's extremely valuable. So like, it, you know, on one end, it's kind of like, oh, maybe leaving early, I would have had a better like work-life balance earlier. However, you know, the way my experience would have been limited, the people that I've worked with, it would have been limited, you know? So, you know, yeah.
So I mean, everything worked out perfectly. You know, there's a reason for every step, you know, like whether it's good or bad, but it leads to something great eventually, you know, hopefully. So, dang, I lost
so
my train of thought.
what do you say about that? About what we just mentioned, and then like what
say,
therapy
that's what,
will
okay,
kind
that's
of
what I'm
come
trying
in
to get
and
into
help.
right now. So I was saying there's more nuance than that, right? Because it's not easy, right? Nobody got a 100% like fixed solution for these type of problem, right? For these, what she's saying is true, because I know people that went through that, right? And it's not easy, right? So, but like, again, we're talking about a country, so we're like, we're trying to we're talking about the mass, the general, right? Because if I'm not saying don't focus on the small things, because those matters too, but I'm saying if we want to bring about therapy, then it have to be completely different. It have to be something different, because I feel like the general mindset in Guinea is good in certain aspect, and certain aspect is not good, right? Meaning we stay firm on our culture, and religion also play a part of that, right? And that's the reason why we can talk about our experience going through anxiety or whatever, or coming to a whole different country, and then still being who we are today. We're still firm. We know our culture. We're strong. Not saying our culture is perfect, but it bring strength, right? That's why I say you gotta be stoic. You can't be frail, because you gotta be strong no matter what. So now she mentioned the RIAPE culture, right? Which is true, because it happened with girls. It happened with guys too, right?
Yeah.
So, but to us, it's not a big deal if it happened to guys. A lot of girls they're scared to talk about it, because family don't bring that around us, or don't put a bad name on the family, right? I know that they go through a lot, but it's also a situation where they girls that go through these type of issues are also able to open up to their parents. There's issues like that, but it's more on where they can't open up to where they can open up. So I agree with that. So if we can bring some type of solution to fix that, where there's a program for those type of situation, so where somebody can go in there and try to talk to them. Yeah, I agree with that. But in general, I don't think it should just be therapy for everything. So you get what I'm saying?
Right.
But and that's the thing. For us, we don't it's not therapy for every and anyone. It's those type of situations. Is if you want that therapy, you can come and deal with that therapy, right? Yeah. So when I talk about therapy, I'm talking about the diagnosed part of it, right? I'm talking about, and that's not even just therapy. I'm talking about mental health overall, right? I think mental health is needed in Guinea. That's my thing. I think it's needed in Guinea. I don't care how far we get in life. We need to have mental health in Guinea. As far as therapy is not for everyone, and that's okay. And yes, Guinea, we are a hopeful bunch of human beings. We're very hopeful, and religion plays a huge part of that. It does, and that's not a bad thing, right? That's not a bad thing, but at the same time, we still have to educate ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah. And also, it's so detrimental to our country that a lot of these mentally ill people are running our country. That's a big problem.
You get a different view every time that I call God. It's like Numi got the Uzi, man, she always speaking facts. She be dropping bombs, make all of them double back. Then the crime raises. It's something they never gonna get that, but it's cool, let's sit back, let's chit chat. Unveiled